We finally have new information about who the main antagonist is for Poppy Playtime Chapter 3. This giant cat, otherwise known as Experiment 1188, is none other than CatNap, and I think it's very clear that he will play a big role in the overall story of the franchise, although there seems to be other nefarious characters that might be pulling the strings. So who or what is CatNap? Before we can look at what CatNap is, we need to understand who CatNap was. A disturbed orphan named Theodore Graham was the test subject that turned into CatNap. Right now, we don't know much about his appearance other than the fact that he had curly hair thanks to this drawing, which leads me to who he was. Considering this drawing, he clearly had monsters already inside his head. Theodore was a troubled orphan who often attracted his counselor's concern. It stated that he had juvenile behaviors, often lying with no care to anyone around him, and he was very antisocial, always keeping to himself. It's heavily implied that he did not have any friends at Home Sweet Home, which was a subdivision where the orphans slept at the playcare. Although he did have an interesting relationship with an imaginary figure that seemed to almost manipulate his actions. More on this later on. Because Theodore was always alone, he mastered the ability to move in stealth and cover up his track, being able to steal grab packs and escape his room without getting caught by security. So how did Theodore turn into CatNap? I'm sure during chapter 3 we will learn all about this, but luckily we can actually put some of the puzzle pieces together now. So what happened? While the Playtime Co was still active, Theodore was well known amongst the employees because of his bad attitude and strong relationship with an imaginary friend. This imaginary friend seemed to encourage him to disrupt Playtime Co, often causing problems for the staff. So who is this imaginary friend? In the photo that Theodore drew, he depicts himself as purple, sitting on a bed while a skeletal arm emerges from underneath. This arm looks awfully familiar, doesn't it? That's because this is none other than Experiment 1006, the prototype. Therefore, Theodore's imaginary friend was actually real. Now, why would the prototype choose Theodore out of all of the children? Well, a damaged mind is very easy to manipulate, and the prototype took advantage of this. One day, the prototype instructed Theodore to open a maintenance door in the playcare using one of the green grab packs that he had stolen. With guidance from the prototype, Theodore attempted to open the door, as it requires two people. It's assumed this was with intentions of allowing the orphans to escape the playcare. However, because Theodore was so young and had very little understanding of how to operate the grab pack, he ended up getting electrocuted by the grab pack's hand and needed medical attention. Because of this incident, the prototype did not actually leave or use the exit. Upon cleaning up the mess, the employees noted tracks on the ground. Tracks not from a man, but something else, something beastly, further proving the idea that the prototype was real and with Theodore at the time. Obviously from chapter 2 we know he is real, but at the time people were still unsure. Although with the opportunity to leave, it did not and chose to stay. But why? Well, I'm not sure, and I'm assuming we will learn why in the next chapter. Now, despite Theodore's injury, the prototype's encouragement continued, ultimately leading to the creation of CatNap, being created with a specialized goal in mind: to put the children at Home Sweet Home to sleep and prevent any orphans from escaping the playcare. While other orphans were considered to control CatNap, it was Theodore chosen to become the guardian of the playcare. Now, why was Theodore chosen? I'm sure we will learn about this in the chapter, but I believe it's because they wanted to give Theodore a chance to become something special, to become a true guardian to the other orphans and keep them on the right path so they do not end up like him. Obviously, this whole plan is with evil intentions from the playcare, but you get the idea. Now, as we know, not everything continued as planned. This is where chapter 3 comes in, to hopefully fill us in on this tragic story and all of the unanswered questions. Now that we know who CatNap was, we can look at what CatNap is. The true version of CatNap is the bigger bodies version, not to be confused with the Smiling Critters cartoon. CatNap was designed to help the Playtime Co in their sinister practice of abducting children from the playcare and putting them to sleep. CatNap went through two previous iterations, Experiment 1186 and Experiment 1187, before the final version was designed specifically for Home Sweet Home. This version embodies more of a feline appearance with animalistic characteristics, having beastly purple fur and a cat-like black nose. His eyes support deep black pupils and bright white irises, and has a giant dark smile. It's also important to point out his sharp black claws that are able to retract from his fingertips, like a normal cat. CatNap does not have traditional animal organs, as his inner system is made of an unknown malleable material. Because of this, he is able to manipulate his appearance, being able to shrink down to the size of a normal cat, or rise to heights like that of Huggy Wuggy. This is huge information, as I'm sure it will play a big role in the new chapter. CatNap's most notable trait is his ability to emit red gas from his mouth that will force anyone who inhales it to fall asleep. This gas is composed of various confidential ingredients, including the infamous poppy flower, which was once utilized for soul transfers. CatNap can exhale this gas at will. Anyone in the surrounding area will lose consciousness. However, this gas can be countered with a gas mask, considering we will be using one in chapter 3. Now, despite Theodore's personality, CatNap is stated to be gentle, bashful, and highly impressionable. While unnerving at first glance, CatNap actually has a more calming presence, being very gentle and almost shy. At first, there were issues with his erratic behavior, but these did end up getting ironed out. In the first few months of his creation, he seemed to take his job very seriously, meeting all of the objectives that were set out for him. At first meet, many of the children were terrified, but soon warmed up to him. Some of them even considered CatNap to be their friend, although CatNap, or Theodore, seemed to still have a friend of his own. Even after the experiment, CatNap still had a friendly relationship with the prototype. When they are in a room together, CatNap follows the prototype around like a lost puppy, almost as if he is worshipping him. And the prototype doesn't seem to mind, almost like he enjoys it, or it's a part of his plan. It seems the prototype has a master plan at play here by keeping CatNap by his side. But what is this plan? Well, I guess we will have to wait and see. How do you guys feel about CatNap? Do you think he has a large role in the overall lore of the story? Or is he just another antagonist for this specific chapter? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to follow my Twitter at TerrifiedT. Thanks for watching.